Sometimes games can be a lie. Sometimes trailers can lie to you. But what happens when a game constantly lies to you? I heard a lot about Inscryption when it was released back in 2021, but everything I saw about it didn't really interest me. I didn't understand what the hype was all about. And now that I've actually sat down and played Inscryption, I have to say it's truly mesmerizing. Inscryption is a game, or a fever dream, a masterpiece or a master of manipulation. Forget Hearthstone, Gwent, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Rule. This is the cards with consequence. It's a twisted love letter to roguelikes, escape rooms, and psychological horror, served with a side of existential dread. It's something unsettling, chilling atmosphere, intriguing narrative, and innovative gameplay mechanics make it truly one that's an unforgettable experience, shattering your preconceptions along the way. But before we go any further, welcome to Stay Tuned on Gaming. I'm your host Damon, where I get to talk about video games for as long as I want. And today we'll be looking at the 2021 roguelike deck building game, Inscryption. Let the ink flow, the cards dance, as we watch with unsettling glee as we see you on the other side. If you like this sort of video, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Let's get into the game. Now, before I go any further with this review, I want to say one thing. The best way to experience Inscryption is to go in completely blind. Literally, there's nothing I can say about this to tell you that the game is best experienced that way. You have to go in blind. I'm not going to spoil anything in this video, but that's the best way to experience it. I went in completely blind and I was surprised, shocked, and had so many emotions going through the game that being blind is the best experience. But I will try to give you a little bit of the outline of maybe what the story is all about. Inscryption's narrative unfolds like a cryptic puzzle, gradually revealing its secrets through fragmented memories, hidden messages, and unsettling encounters. You are trapped in a cabin, forced to play a twisted card game against a menacing figure. But as you progress, the cabin's walls become the canvas for a larger story, hinting at conspiracies, hidden agendas, and even the nature of reality itself. It's able to blend elements of horror, mystery, metafiction, all keeping you on your toes, and the line between reality and game begins to blur. It organically unfolds this narrative through environmental storytelling, symbolic imagery, and subtle clues that are all hidden within the game's own mechanics. And while you may have some frustrations and some players may find the lack of any exposition on what's going on can be very frustrating, if you have a lot of patience, explore, and have keen observation, you will get your due rewards. And that's really all I can say about this game. The story's strength lies in its ambiguity, raises its questions about reality and the power of games. It has many themes, and I can't really tell you any more than that, as it will spoil the story. Heck, I can't even show you a lot of the game. Basically, I'm showing you stuff from Act 1 and mostly a lot of the other things in Casey's mod. That's it. And some of these clips will even repeat itself because I can't show you a lot of what happens. It's truly a story that does stay with you. You remember Inscryption for a very long time. It's a great experience, one that you should never miss out of. The story is so good and it tackles themes of addiction, manipulation, the nature of consequences, and will leave you with thoughts long after the credits. I never played any of Dan Mullins' other games, and I've heard similar things about them when it comes to always being able to break the fourth wall or break what a game's mechanics is, and Inscryption does it massively, and it truly is amazing. That's really all I can say about the game's story. I can't go really any more into it. It will just spoil it. So if you want to see a game that truly is unique with its storytelling and game mechanics, check out Inscryption story. It gets a plus from me to just play it for that. Next up, let's talk about music, sound, and the graphics. First of all, the sound and music of Inscryption is fantastic. The soundscape is truly haunting. It has this unsettling score that perfectly complements the game's atmosphere. Eerie melodies, unsettling sound effects, all builds tension and suspense. The soundtrack is this haunting mix of ambient music, unsettling sound effects, distorted voices, It's always keeping you on your toes and on your edge throughout your playthrough. I love so much of the sound design. And one of my favorites being the boss's themes in the game, especially the first boss you encounter in it. All of it is fantastic. But just as good as the sound is, the silence is just as impactful, creating a lot of moments of tension and anticipation that just draws you more into the game's world. It's masterful audio design that enables to not only keep you in the game's atmosphere, but also makes you unsettled after you play the game. It just stays with you once again after you finish this game. The graphics are just as good. All of it feels very comfy at first. The card games and the cards all feeling well, the board game structure of it. But the moment you step away from the table and start to do the puzzles, that's where the game truly shines. This airiness starts to fill all over and the graphics start to take a life on its own. There's a lot of good stuff here, and all of this gets another 10 out of me. It's fantastic with what they do. I've talked all about the story and the music, but what the heck is the gameplay of Inscryption? Well, at its core, Inscryption is a roguelike deck building card game. You build your deck by collecting cards that represent various creatures and all have different abilities. You then engage in strategic battle against other opponents. Now, the core mechanics of Inscryption are very simple to grasp. If you've never played a deck building card game before, a roguelike card game before, then you'll pick it up very easy to understand how to play this game. But there's still a lot of depth with different card synergies, combinations, strategic choices, all being able to explore a very kind of deep card game that I did not expect. But it's actually very captivating and addicting. I love the blend of its deck building, roguelike progression, and escape room puzzles. Now, the deck building again is very strategic and requires you to always consider synergies, card combinations, and the choices you have to make until you reach the boss. And you get stronger opponents as it goes. What I love is that it will constantly introduce you to new mechanics and twists that will keep the gameplay fresh and engaging. Sometimes you'll lose and then you'll get shown how to use items. Eventually you'll lose and you'll learn completely new abilities. Each run is really fun and unique, and I love that about this game. But there's also another side, the escape room puzzles. These are interspersed within the card battles and provides a welcome break from any of the strategic intensity that you have with the card game. These puzzles are often very intuitive and very inventive and requires you to think outside of the box. Sometimes it's environmental storytelling that tells you how to unlock this puzzle. Sometimes it's staring you directly in the face. Sometimes you need something to happen to acquire other things, and sometimes the cards are the very answer. This just adds another layer of challenge and engagement to the overall experience. I was surprised how much fun I was having with Inscryption. I was having so much fun playing this card game, but it goes far beyond just a standard card game. It will constantly subvert your expectations, and there's always a surprise for anyone that's playing this game. But it's also important to note one thing. Inscryption is not for everybody. This game is difficult. It's really difficult when it comes to its card game. If you haven't played many roguelike deck building card games before, it's gonna hit you in the face on how hard this game can get. Its reliance on its card game mechanics may not appeal to everyone, especially if you don't like the genre of card gaming. This is not gonna make you like it whatsoever. Look, it's great that it's this very good card game, but it's also a very unforgiving card game. I found myself dying quite a lot because I didn't get cards, or I was trying to figure out the mechanics, and I was just like, whoa, this game is actually quite difficult, and I can't believe I am dying so much in this game. I was losing constantly left and right before I found a couple of runs together to put it together, and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty damn good. But even if you aren't failing, and even if you aren't that good at card games, the game has a slow pace, and there's a lot of emphasis on exploration and environmental storytelling. Again, you're expecting to be action-packed, crazy-ass fights and all that stuff. Not in this game. Very slow-paced, heavy emphasis on exploration, environmental storytelling, and interaction. And if you're not good at any of these roguelike card games, this game is going to be very easy for you to play. In retrospect, the game will probably take you 5 hours to complete, but if you suck at puzzles and deck building, it might take you even longer. Lastly, that's not all. You see, while there's the story mode, there's actually a free DLC that was added later to the game called Casey's Mod. Now, Casey's Mod is like a mini expansion for the game, and it takes the Act 1 of the base game and turns it into a repeatable roguelike experience with endless challenge, new cards, and new lore. In this new format, every run is unique with procedurally generated encounters. You now have challenges that increase levels and difficulties but provide you with rewards. You can apply different skulls for unique modifiers. There are new additions to the game as well as new card pools, and some of the cards have been like nerfed so it can be much more challenging, much more fair of a challenge. And there's even some lore thrown in here. I actually really like a lot of Casey's mod. Like I said, Inscryption isn't easy, and playing this mod isn't easy as well. And unlocking the different decks and cards just offers the replayability. Like I said, I had a lot of fun playing Inscryption's Act 1 card game, and I wanted to play more of it when I finished the game. So when I saw Casey's mod was basically that, I said, yes, I finally get to play just the roguelike deck building section of the game. There is no puzzles in this mode whatsoever, except for like one. Everything else from the card game that you've played in the story mode is taken over and brought into here, but they just change it up here and there. And it works. It's still just as fun, just as engaging, just as very memorable with all the music and the sound, but just as unforgiving as it is in the game. It's a really great DLC they added for the game. You can only get this mod if you beat the game, and so that's the only way you can get it. But overall, the gameplay gets a 10 out of 10 from me. Like I said, the story, the music, and this gameplay brings everything together. But like I said, if you don't like card games and you don't like slow-paced games, this is not going to change your mind. But it's still worth a try because this game is very memorable when you finish it. Overall, Inscryption is a masterpiece of game design. It blends together so many different elements of other games and delivers you a unique and unforgettable experience. While I do feel that Inscryption is a one-and-done game when it comes to its story, since there's no need to play the story again after you beat it because all the surprises are already there. To only play the story again would be to catch a little bit of subtle hints here and there. But I will admit that Casey's mod does add some really good replayability to a surprisingly deep card game that I didn't expect was actually that good. The game will last you about 5 to maybe 10 hours, depending how good you are at card games and puzzles. But if you are not a fan of these games, then I still recommend you give this game a try. Its innovative gameplay mechanics, its unsettling narrative, its haunting atmosphere combines to create a game that will stay with you long after you finish playing. You can find it basically on all consoles. It's available basically everywhere. I think it's currently available on the PlayStation catalog. If you are subscribed, you can get it for free. I loved everything about Inscryption. It was such a great time that even now rewriting this art review and going back and seeing my gameplay, I was like, wow, there's so many good things about it. But just remember, don't trust anyone, not even the game itself. I'll see you guys in the next game.